Welcome to NFL News, January 27, 2026. We have some news surrounding the Bills head coach, which promotion, by the way, congratulations. And the Titans have announced their new offensive coordinator. We begin in Atlanta, where the Falcons have their press conference officially with Kevin Stefanski named as the head coach. So, what's on the GM side? So, the Falcons have scheduled a second in-person interview with Texans assistant GM James Leavitt and Bears assistant GM Ian Cunningham, and they're both scheduled to interview for that GM job later this week. So we'll finally know who the GM is going to be. And for Matt Ryan as the president of football operations, I think what's very intriguing is his football knowledge of searching for a new head coach and a new GM. You got to think about this because he's been in the league for a lot of time. He's known some of those guys. He knows the coaches, the GMs, the assistants around the building. I think Matt Ryan was probably the best hire with his football knowledge and his good hair as a football president, football operations. It feels like Atlanta is in a new era with Matt Ryan as the president of football operations. And again, we'll see who their GM is going to be. I do hopefully they get this announced probably this week or next week during Super Bowl weekend. Offensive coordinator Joe Brady is being promoted as the next head coach of the Buffalo Bills and is also finalizing a 5-year deal to make it as the Bills head coach. A lot of people feel like this is a good hire, and there are some that felt like maybe they could have hired Brian Dable, maybe Davis Webb. Well, they say they stay in-house, and Joe Brady is going to be the head coach of the Buffalo Bills for the first time in his coaching career. He's 36 years old, and his journey was been a little interesting, by the way. I think he started back in New Orleans with the Saints as a wide receivers coach, then wide receivers coach in LSU, if you remember that 2019 LSU national championship run. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Joe Burrow, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Yeah. After leaving there, he went to Carolina to become the offensive coordinator. Got fired after one season. He joined the Bills as the quarterback's coach. Then when Ken Dorsey got fired, he was the interim offensive coordinator. They promote him as the OC for the job, and now he's going to get his first attempt as the head coach of the Bills. This hire to me is a little interesting because the question is, can Joe Brady succeed this organization and deliver them their first Super Bowl in franchise history? That's what this is probably going to be about. The pressure is not on Joe Brady. The pressure is going to be on their general manager, Brandon Beane. So, if I were to grade this higher, it could be a B minus just because they could have probably searched a little more, or they could have kept Sean McDermott for a 10th season as the Bills head coach. But I think Joe Brady can do it. I believe in this man. He's done a tremendous job with the Bills. I'm going to give it an A, not A minus, A plus. I'm going to give him an A. I think the hire is a significant bold move, but the questions are going to be around their GM and is he under pressure for next season. But for Joe Brady, we wish you the best of luck in Buffalo. All right, the Broncos have fired offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi after 3 seasons in Denver. This came after their loss to the AFC Championship game about 3 days ago. Or 2 days ago, if I'm correctly right or wrong. I could see this as a late firing, which makes too much sense. You're going to hear a lot of these big time surprises out of nowhere, but This one was a bit surprised. They fired Joe Lombardi, and now they're going to have to search for a new offensive coordinator. We'll see if Sean Payton, again, he is still calling the plays offensively. So they're going to have to bring in an offensive coordinator that is probably in the future going to be ending up getting the play calling. Jaguars offensive coordinator Grant Nistich and defensive coordinator Anthony Kaplan have agreed to terms to remain on Liam Cohen's coaching staff in 2026. This makes too much sense. Grant, of course, withdraw the Browns' job to stay in Jacksonville, and Anthony Kaplan, he didn't withdraw any of the jobs, but he felt like he would be confident to stay in Jacksonville. So, Liam Cohen, good news for the Jaguars fans. Your OC in DC gets to stay for another year in 2026. All right, I want to go to this developing news. This is a bit surprise. If you're a Patriots fan, you're not going to like this news. If you're a Seahawks fan, you're going to probably go with an eyebrow like a, what? I don't get it. Let's get to it. So quarterback Drake May has suffered an injury during Sunday's AFC title game when it's something that has, quote, quote, probably been overblown on social media. Now the injury is the right shoulder injury, which we don't know when this injury possibly happened in that championship game. So we'll hopefully see where this happened. But Coach Vrabel told reporters today that everybody, including Drake, is not 100% at this part of the year, Vrabel said. So by that, I don't know what this means, but I think that puts the pressure on New England. And the reason why is they're going to the Super Bowl. They're going to play a good defense in Seattle. And Drake May, by the way, he's dealing with a right shoulder injury. So, I don't know. Currently right now, Seattle is a 4.5-point favorites. And with this news going on right now, I could see this as a 6.5-point favorite Seahawks, just with the concerns of Drake May's shoulder injury. But again, I don't know where Vrabel got the everybody, including Drake, is not 100% at this part of the year. I don't know what that means. We'll find out next week as we get closer to Super Bowl weekend in the matchup between the Seahawks and the Patriots in Super Bowl Sunday. All right, this is a shocker. Big surprise here. The Jets parted ways with offensive coordinator Tan Ankerstrand after one season. They could have fired him after the season was over, and nope, they said we're going to fire him, and they are starting the process as quick as possible. They feel like they're getting through this. All right, let's go find an offense coordinator quick before the new year begins. Eagles will interview Packers quarterbacks coach Sean Mannion in person this week for their offensive coordinator job. And again, these Eagles are just finding offensive coordinators that are unexperienced at play calling, or they're guys that do play calling, but they're probably going to end up getting these head coaching jobs after 1 year. All right, and then finally, the Tennessee Titans are hiring former Giants head coach Brian Daboll as their new offensive coordinator. This felt like this already happened about 3 weeks ago. It was expected to be hired as the new OC, but they wanted to wait until Brian Daboll either doesn't take the head coaching job or not. But it turns out that he already completed his interview with the Raiders and said, nope, I'm going to go to Tennessee. I'm going to develop Cam Ward. I'm going to be the play caller in Tennessee. I think this is a good hire for Tennessee. And Robert Saleh, again, he's going to call the defense. And I believe he's hiring a defensive coordinator, not confirming. I believe Tennessee is looking for a younger defensive coordinator, who's probably in the staff, someone who's going to come into the building as a defense coordinator, and probably get the play calling shot for the first time. But for Brian Dable, he's done this before as an offensive coordinator. Did a great job with in Alabama with Nick Saban, Bill Belichick, of course, in his Patriot years. Josh Allen, the Bills, of course. But he didn't do very much in New York just because of the injuries on offense. But the quarterback development was not what they got in New York. I think he's gonna do it in Tennessee. I think this is a perfect hire for Robert Saleh as Brian Dable is your new offensive coordinator. I'll give this one a with developing Cam Ward. I'm gonna give it an A plus. Um, that's also one more thing. The Arizona Cardinals are interviewing Ron Rivera for the head coaching job. The last time we heard Ron Rivera as the head coach was when he left as the Commanders head coach. Right now, he's the GM of the Cal Golden Bears football program. We'll see if he does take this job or unless it's just a good interview and then he's just not going to be the guy in Arizona. But Mike LaFleur, again, keep an eye on Mike LaFleur because he might end up being the Cardinals head coach sometime this week. You never know what happens to these head coaching vaccinations. But again, we're only down to those three: the Raiders, the Browns, and the Cardinals. That's it for NFL News, January 27, 2026. If you've not seen my other videos, go check them out on my channel. Of course, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for more sports news.